thing I learned too about you, Sylvia. I am a foster parent, so that's encouraging that the women of our board continuously give back to our community and make change. It is another honor to introduce someone I admire very much for her business skills and savvy, Gabriela Mello. Gabriela is a vice president for Mexcal Inc., an important and export, and excuse me, it is also important, an import and export company based in Central California, specializing in premium mezcal and tequila products. Gabriela is also the brand ambassador for Leyenda de Mexico Tequila, which is distillery owned, operated, and controlled by women. Come on now, that's so awesome. Additionally, Gabriela has over 27 years of retail and financial experience leading cities and Wells Fargo's community outreach and maintaining the company's CRA, Community Reinvestment Act initiatives that support small businesses and underserved populations. Gabriela, it's an honor to serve with you on the board, and thank you and welcome to our show today.
Thank you. And Gabriela, yes, you're amazing. Another person that I met when I first joined the board, and thank you for all that you do. And, you know, maybe we need to plan a CHEC tequila event. I don't know what to say because that's one of my favorites. So just
for sure.
But we'll have to plan that for another. I want to kick off and start with our questions because we have such amazing ladies and our audience to hear all about them. So Brenna, I'm going to start with you. In your previous position, professional roles, as well as your current position as Vice President of Community Relations with AG Spanos, how have you used your role and company to influence and create impact within our community or your community and our community? How do you advance important agendas?
Well, thank you very much. And thank you, Veronica. So in my role, I represent a family-owned company here in Stockton, and they have lived here for several generations. This is their home, and it's really important for them to support development, growth, and the overall prosperity of this community. So they're always looking for different efforts where they can create positive change in the community. And so we've been involved in several areas. And one of the really great examples that I can offer is the Stockton Scholars Program, which provides every high school student in Stockton who is attending a public high school with a GPA of 2.0 or higher. They have the ability to receive a $1,000 scholarship for 4 years. When they're attending a 4-year university, or they can receive a $500 scholarship when they're attending a 2-year school, like a junior college or a trade school. This was really like just an amazing program. It's something that has been completely innovative here in Stockton, and it allows essentially any graduating senior in our community to go to college if they choose to do so. We found that to be a really transformative program, and so it was something that we invested a great deal in to ensure that the students in our community have that opportunity. One of the other examples of a program where we've invested heavily is something that we found was really another solution to an issue here in our community, and that is the nonprofit Ready to Work. So in 2016, there were a group of Stockton business people that came together because they were looking to somehow impact positive change in the lives of the homeless here in our community and those that had been formerly incarcerated, and to help them get back to work. So we looked at another program that was actually located in New York City called the Doe Fund, and modeled this program off of that. Today, the program has grown immensely, and Ready to Work serves between 45 and 49 men on their campus facility, and they're able to engage in career training, counseling services, life skills, substance abuse counseling, and educational resources. And essentially, these men that have a history of either homelessness or involvement in the criminal justice system are able to work to rebuild their lives and reunite with their families. We found this to be a very transformative program for our community. And so we have rallied around that. Today, I represent Ready to Work as a member of their board. And it's something that our company truly believes in. So we've been very engaged in Stockton for many years, and we've looked at a number of long-term efforts to benefit our region. Over the years, we've been a strong advocate for a CSU Stockton campus. We are one of the we are the largest city in California to not have its own CSU. And so this has been something that we have been a champion for many years. We've also been advocates to preserve our Delta waterways, which is a huge asset to this region. And we've looked for opportunities to invest in our community's most vulnerable populations, our homeless animals. This is something that our company has been dedicated to over the years. So to kind of answer the second part of your question about advancing community agendas or important agendas for our community, I think if we as a company can support an organization's goal by facilitating opportunities to advance a discussion or convene the right stakeholders together around a particular topic, that is what my company charges me with doing. And so I've been able to do that throughout the community, and it's something that is a priority for our company.
That's amazing, Brenna, and I couldn't think of anyone better for this position. You know, for those of you who don't know, AJ Spanos owned the Chargers, and I knew they did a lot for the community, but I didn't know they did all of this for the community. So thank you, Brenna, for sharing an insight of this family who are locally and are big about giving back to their community and supporting their community and making it better. That you got me at the education. I think it's amazing, and helping the population and even helping homeless animals. So I think it's amazing what they're doing. So they don't just own the Chargers, ladies and gentlemen, they do more than that. So I can't imagine having a better VP in this position, Brenna, than you. So like we said, we have phenomenal women here, not only that serve on our board, but are doing great things out in our community through their respective positions. Jenny, you want to ask our next question to our next panelist, please?
Yes, Dr. Castro. You know, you've for over 25 years of leading organizational teams, now with your role as the Associate Vice President of Partnership Development and Project Director at Pacific Oaks College, can you tell us how the community plays a role with higher education?
Absolutely, and thank you again for the invite to be part of this amazing panel with these other amazing women. You know, this is a question that I think I cannot answer in such a short time. It requires a conversation that could go on for even hours or even days. But let me give you my short version of my own views. Higher education, when you think about it, is a tool that provides our community with knowledge, skills, techniques, information. It enables, again, the community, right, to know their rights, their duties towards family, society, as well as the nation. It expands our vision and outlook to see the world, to innovate, to create. And it also develops capabilities to fight against injustice, violence, corruption in our own communities. Let me give you another view. Both, I believe, community and higher education are committed. Okay, they work together, committed to building communities' capacity through a collaborative, mutually agreed upon goal by strengthening the education, improving schools, developing neighborhood leadership and organizational capacity, and then contributing to a culture change and emphasizing sustainability and building workforce capacity. Wow. So what does all of this mean is that community and higher education are one.
Yes.
It is the balance of creating a just society, right, with opportunities to defeat, I think, poverty, prevention when it comes to crimes, and law and order, and women empowerment, which is what we're talking about today, where we can actually raise our voice against the injustice that we as women face, whether it's low salaries, slave trading, the whole gamut. You can just continue on. Community is reaching out, which is an interesting phenomenon, right? Because I just stated that we are one. But without community and without education, there really is no future when you think about it. And when you also look at what's been going on, community has been reaching out to higher education to place an emphasis on the lack and the need of train specialists in the sciences, in the maths, and also in leadership. We have heard about Starbucks and Kentucky Fried Chicken partnering with higher education to provide higher education to their employees. It, again, a combination of one in this aspect of education and in the community. The impact that the pandemic has had on so many small businesses, where the reality actually set in, that in order for us, small businesses, to survive, we needed to rethink how we are going to be offering our products and services. Our small businesses sometimes lack the technology or the know-how. So how are they going to survive without those particular skills? The workforce. When you think about the workforce as a whole, we've been sort of feeling very comfortable that things are manageable. You know, we can do that tomorrow. But when you think about it, now there's a need for a new demand in our skill set. Technology, more emphasis on human development and leadership skills. So in other words, community, higher education, I believe it to be one. We cannot survive without the other, and there is no future without the other. And when you think about higher education, it is the key for a better future, for a world economy, for a whole nation as a whole. Again, education and higher education and community are one. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Judy. And I so appreciate you mentioning that education and community are one. And we have over 290 registrants. So I'm going to guess there's people from so many backgrounds. And if you're there today wondering, I'm too busy, I have a family, or I'm a single parent, or my job overtakes my life, I don't have a bachelor's degree, I don't have an AA, and I'm trying to make my business work, or I'm trying to, advance in my career, have that personal growth. It took me 7 years to get my bachelor's, and then I went to law school after that, like 10 years worth of school. And there were times where I would only be able to take one class per semester, because there was times where I had a full-time job, and then I worked at May Company. We all remember May Company after work, and then I had to, just to survive. Dr. Judy, just in maybe 2 sentences, what would you say to those men and women out there who feel that they can't do what you just said? What would you say to them?
I always ask myself, do I have the time? There is time. It is how we manage our time that we can actually accomplish anything. When I was doing my doctorate degree, I also told myself, I don't have time for this. I can't do this and I can't do that. But yeah, I did. One of the things that I did do, which I pride myself in thinking about it, is I was able to manage my time. I would give myself every Friday night was my time to recover. Monday, or Saturday through Friday, it was dedication to school and to work, because I also worked in order to get my degrees. It didn't come where I could just go and dedicate myself to, my education, but I also work. I had to drive from about 45 minutes just to get to campus, and then try another 20 minutes to find parking. And so you could just imagine the stress of it all. But yes, you can do it. It is about a commitment that is not just for an attainment of a degree. It is not just about getting your other promotion. It is more of self. It is that self-accomplishment that I think overcomes every obstacle that gets in the way, that says, I can't do it. There's no way I can manage it. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough resources. But if it's something within, which I think that we do as women, Latina women do have, that we do want to make that change, then we can. So what I do suggest is give it some thought, talk to yourself, figure it out, and that there is enough time for you to actually succeed in your own self-commitment.
Thank you, Judy. And if you feel that your current community doesn't understand or doesn't support it, when you make that first step, you'll find community who will surround you and encourage you because they're in the same boat as you. Veronica, back to you.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Dr. Judy, for sharing your passion for education. You know, I grew up where my parents are not educated, and my dad always said that if we wanted to do something in life, we needed to get an education. And I remember we would be picking strawberries, and he said, if you don't go to school, this is what you're gonna do. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm chica fresa, you know, but like, that means I'm posh and I will not pick strawberries. I'm going to school. So definitely thank you for sharing your passion. You just like, oh my gosh, should I just go get my master's now? I'm like, gonna think about that, Dr. Judy. I know if I tell you, you're gonna encourage me and make me sign up for something. So we'll have to talk more about that. But we have two more amazing speakers. Let's get back to them. Our next speaker, an entrepreneur. I don't even know how she does this. Not only she is a small business owner, she's president and CEO of the Antelope Valley Hispanic Chamber. Sylvia, can you explain how the Chamber leads advocacy efforts and why it is so important for small business owners to devote time to join those efforts in order to create positive impacts in their communities? And can you share how your local Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is fostering growth and developing new business leaders in your community? Sylvia.
Thank you, Veronica. Well, I think it's important to be part of a chamber, not just because you want your business to grow, but because you make those connections that are important for your business. One of the big important things is a chamber helps assist with resources. It helps you connect with individuals that can help you. For example, being part of a chamber, you have access to everything. You have access to people that have their own businesses that are also entrepreneurs that can help lead you and help guide you. You have people that know how to work, how to open a webinar, how to do that, how to do a website. Most businesses that come into chambers come in because they're just starting out. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to proceed. So they come to you as a guidance. And the most important thing is giving them those connections. So it's important for us to give them resources and assist them to staying up with the changes that are coming up. For example, last year, we didn't know we were going to get this COVID-19. Everybody struggled, and the chamber was no different than anybody else. So we had to make changes. We had to decide, okay, how are we going to keep our doors open? So we decided, okay, the best step for us first and helping our members is help ourselves first. How do we stay open? Who do we connect to? What do we do? And with that, the California Hispanic Chamber was a big part of that. So we learned from that. We were able to get resources. We were able to get funding. And with that, we were able to share with our members and help our members get those resources they needed. It is really important to start out introducing yourself to business members, not just through your mixers or your events, but when you go into the market, when you go into the small businesses, you introduce yourself and you let them know who you are. You let them know that there's a community here that embraces small businesses. And I think that's the biggest part. And when you have those directors behind you that do the same thing, that turns into, you would say familia, because you make these connections, you make these friendships through the chamber that you wouldn't make anywhere else. And you can always call the chamber and say, hey, I'm having a ribbon cutting. I need an air conditioner person. I need a mechanic. Who do you recommend? So by being part of a chamber, we refer our businesses. That's the first step, is referring the businesses and getting the community involved with your business. And that's how you succeed in your own business. So it's really important to be be the change. You want to be the change. You want to be an advocate for your community. You want to be able to bring something more than just say, oh, they're just a chamber. All they do is ribbon cuttings. All they do is events. No, you want to be bigger than that. And I think by us being a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we embrace our Latinos that are starting out, that don't have the voice. And I think that's the biggest part of being part of a chamber, because you have that voice and all those voices behind you that are going to help guide you and help get you through that hurdle, especially from last year. A lot of businesses didn't make it. And those that were here and stayed are the ones that are fighting, and those are the ones you have to fight for and help keep going. You have to be creative and come up with different ideas on how to grow, and the chamber is the first step that you want to go through. So I think it's really important. As an individual, you're going to be heard, but being part of a community, you make a louder voice by joining that, by partnering with the city, by partnering with your dignitaries, by partnering with people that are going to make a difference, and by partnering with other chambers. That's the biggest important thing. You don't want to become a chamber with another one and merge, because you lose your identity. So you want to be able to have an alliance and be part of those chambers that are going to make a difference with the businesses. So I think it's really important that as a business starting out, or even just a business, if you've been in business for many years and you're not going anywhere, you need to be part of the chamber, because the chamber will make all the difference in the world.
Thank you for sharing that, Sylvia. I get asked a lot, oh, what has the chamber done for you? Or I became a member and they didn't do anything for me. Well, did you go to any of the networking events? Did you meet people? No, I just became a member. It's like, I really feel it's important that, yes, become a member of your local chamber. And I don't go sign up for a chamber. Go to some of their events first, get to know the individuals or the other fellow business owners, and see if you're a fit, see if this is a chamber that you. There's different chambers, and I always believe competition, because people will do business with you because of you. And as far as chambers, there's like thousands of chambers throughout the state of California. You go visit the chambers in your community and get to know the people in those chambers, and become a member of the one that you feel the most comfortable with. And sometimes, keep in mind though, we become more successful when we're in the uncomfortable. And I think it's really important to do. And I always say, you might not get business person you met, but you don't know who they know that may introduce you and give you business. So I think it's really important. And, it's about the power of giving back. I'm a big believer that the more you give, the more you receive. And I may be giving here and maybe not receiving from here, but it's definitely coming from somewhere else. So it's always going to come back. And so definitely get involved. I think as a business owner, we should all consider getting involved with our local chambers, but not just become a member and sign the paperwork and pay the, like, go to the network events, go meet people. That's why we're doing this, is to bring a voice to the chamber and to all the women out there. Look at all these women we have on this panel and everything they're doing for their jobs. It's just their work. This is an additional job. Hearing Sylvia that she's a small business owner and the president and CEO of the chamber. I don't know how she does it. I barely have time to run my business and be here with the California Hispanic Chamber. So kudos to you, Sylvia, and thank you for sharing that on being of getting involved with the chamber. Jenny, you want to introduce our last but not least panelist?
Yes. And Veronica, I just want to thank you for mentioning that. Believe it or not, I'm a shy person. So when I started networking the chamber scene, I was so nervous. And it's how you see yourself. So don't see yourself as, oh, no one invited me, because that puts you in victim mentality mode. You are more than a conqueror. See yourself as the initiator. Go to the food, stand by the food. That's what I did. You make friends around the food. And then when you get yourself positioned, you see new people come, you be the initiator and say, welcome to our chamber family. So thank you, Veronica, for sharing that. Without further ado, Gabriela, you have over 27 years of retail and financial experience from Citi and Wells Fargo Bank. And now you are the vice president for Mezcal Inc. Tell us why you believe helping the community-based organizations or local associations like the chamber in your region by serving at the board leadership level is so important, whether you're a corporate leader or a small business owner. What does that mean to you?
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for having me and giving me a few minutes to say hello to everyone, and excited to be here. So very simple. I mean, you mentioned, I have over 27 years of financial experience and leading, two major financial institutions. And in trying to help, their mission and ensuring that we're helping our community succeed. But now I'm a business owner, small business owner. So totally different spectrums. But I think the mission for me, it's always been the same. It's to help and empower and educate and being that voice for the voiceless. And it's about paying it forward. It's super important. If you're in a position, and I've always said, if people that know me know that it's always been my passion to help small businesses. My parents were small business owners for 15 years. And so, it just kind of comes in a full circle. But I think the positions that I've held, regardless, I've been pretty blessed. The two institutions that you mentioned earlier were super supportive and really helped me really move the needle with a lot of the philanthropic giving, creating opportunities. But I think the biggest game changer here is sitting on those boards, being that voice, being that leader, sitting at the table and creating those agendas and really moving, that mission and ensuring that we are making a significant change locally. And that local change, it transpires now. I'm on the board for a California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, not only the foundation, but also the chamber. So it's just those baby steps. But I think for me, it's just, it's so rewarding to see, throughout the years, the involvement and how it's impacted my local community. I'll give you a couple of examples, throughout my career, some of the things that I was able to create and create meaningful change in our local communities. When I started, I don't know, many, many years ago in a local chamber of commerce, I was really involved. I was serving I was just doing volunteer work. I wasn't on the board, but then I started that little okay, I want to help. How can I help? So started getting involved with the leadership and, I decided to join a couple of the local chambers as well as housing authorities, because that's my passion, right? Help the underserved and small business. So one of the examples I want to provide to you is, people often say, well, you can't really make a change. It's only one person. Well, let me tell you, your voice is loud. And you have to continue to advocate for what you believe and what you're passionate for. I think you guys have heard, that, we as Latinas, we're double minority. You sit on these boards and nobody looks like you. You feel uncomfortable. Well, to me, I think that's what kind of drove me, because I was uncomfortable in situations that made me grow and to be prepared and be the first one at the table to get those ideas. So one of the examples that I want to provide that, how do you make the meaningful change? I was one of the first ones that supported the first Hispanic SBDC Center in San Jose. And honestly, because of our efforts and because of our, continuous knocking on doors and helping the leadership, we were able to create that opportunity. And now there's California. And thank you for the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce that are creating those opportunities. And all these small business owners have a Hispanic satellite center that they feel comfortable, that they can get the tools and all the resources they need in their own language. That's huge. And so that was an example of something that I'm very proud of, that I was able to support and create. That's one of them. Another one is, when you go to chambers, there's a lot of networking, there's a lot of, which is great, and parties and this and that. But at the end of the day, it's about the impact, right? So I thought, I'm part of this chamber and I want to make sure that we're educating, that we're providing the tools, that we're getting the education, the one-on-one training, technical assistance. So I created several programs that do that, just that. There's programs that start with 6 weeks to 12 weeks. This is on my previous role. 6 weeks to 12 weeks, and they're all in English and in Spanish, 100% bilingual. And there's been some success stories. We can be here all day, but just to give you an example of one of the ladies that went through this program, a Latina lady here in the Valley, she was pretty much, I'll be quite honest, struggling financially, single mom, started in Delano. Now she's a multimillionaire. So that to me is my job is done. If I'm able to create that change and that impact and creating all those opportunities and jobs for our local community, my job is done.
I am so inspired. I feel like this is why I'm always so drawn to you. Always want to say hi to you. You talked about the voice for the voiceless and paying it forward. I saw someone in the Q&A who said, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? And I don't know if you agree, Gabriela, we all, and you share this in your testimony, we all start from somewhere and we pay it forward because there's someone there who is encouraging us. and we overcome these challenges where, you talked about the woman that you helped with $1 million company, because of the challenges and the lessons. I don't like to call them mistakes. I like to call them lessons learned. You don't forget where you come from, and you don't forget who you are. Is this why you want to be the voice for the voiceless?
Absolutely. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. But, Veronica mentioned earlier, we worked in the fields. I was there. I worked in the fields myself. It was difficult. I mean, I had a really difficult life. People that know me know that I came to the United States when I was 16 years old, not speaking the language. So you're talking about, having challenges. I had them. So I still struggle with some words here and there, but, bear with me. But at the end of the day, it's like, if I'm in a position to help, I'm going to do that. And that was a commitment that I made early on in my career. And I knew that was my path, is just to help and serve. And I just been really blessed to be in the position that I'm in, and then I'm able to pay it forward and not forget my roots in my beginning, because that's super important, and be true to yourself.
Exactly. And thank you so much. I worked the fields too. I picked prunes when I was a teenager.
So we all know.
Right. We all know.
It's like, we're not going to go back.
We're not going to go back. And as I segue back to Veronica, to the person who asked about imposter syndrome, always be transparent. And when you look at this panel of beautiful women here, know that we're transparent. We embrace what's our flaws, and we don't see them as flaws. We see them as beauty, because those things help us make us the women who we are today. Veronica, back to you.
And actually, I was going to go into the imposter syndrome because I did see that question from somebody named Claudia. Claudia, thank you for asking that question. Look, at the end of the day, we don't know what we don't know. Don't have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers, regardless of how long I've been in the position that I'm in, owning a cleaning business. Even when my customers call me that we need to clean something, they think I know all the procedures on how to clean. No, I still have to look them up. So we all go through that, but I think at the end of the day, we have to be humble that we don't always have all the answers, and that's okay. So I'm going to go to our panelists and ask about, how do you deal with the imposter syndrome? And in interest of time, let's do it under 1 minute. So Brenna, then Sylvia, then Dr. Judy. Brenna, how do you deal with imposter syndrome?
I don't know if I really have an answer for that. I think I just do the best that I can, and I'm always striving to do better. But I think that we all have to be confident in our abilities. I think we've all independently worked hard to get where we have in our careers. And so it's important to value your knowledge. And you're right, you don't always have to be the person with all the answers, and you don't have to be the loudest voice in the room all the time, but you definitely need to be confident in your abilities and do the best that you can.
Thank you, Brenna. Sylvia?
Well, I think it's that saying, why reinvent the wheel? Sometimes you have to learn from each other, and sometimes you have to go outside the box. I'm a out of the box person. I don't like to be kept in the box. I go out of the box. I try and create and learn. And I think sometimes you do have to take, because being part of this chamber, I've met amazing women, and I've learned from them, and I've taken from what they've taught me. So I think it's you have to just see who you are and go with that. And sometimes people look at you that like you're too assertive, or you're too pushy, or sometimes as women, we do have to go beyond what people see as a little meek person. So you just have to take what you are. And sometimes, like I say, why reinvent the wheel when it's there already?
Thank you for that, Sylvia. I think it's very important. Brenna had a good point. All we could do is the best we can. All we could do, like you said, is learn from others. Dr. Judy?
I ignore it. I ignore it. I do not embrace it, because I don't have time to try to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out me, and with what Brenna and others have said, is being confident, valuing your knowledge, valuing who you are, learning from each other, right? Why reinvent the wheel? But I think for me, it's much more important to ignore it. I will not embrace it because I tell myself that it's not me. I know who I am. And I think that's very important in knowing who you are. And yes, we're not perfect. We're going to stumble. We're going to ask questions that maybe we shouldn't have asked, but that's okay. That's in the learning process. And that's what I am. I'm in the learning process. I'm still learning. And so I ignore it.
Sure.
I don't want to be part of that
Thank you, Dr.
conversation or that discussion.
So this question came from a Victor Tafoya, and it's to all the panelists. There are 5 leadership styles we can use: authoritarian, participative, delegative, transactional, and transformational. How will you describe your style, and how has this influenced the growth of the staff and your company? Who wants to take it?
I will.
Thank you, Brenna.
So I think I'm a little bit of all of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of what can make you a good leader, is learning when to pull the right lever. So I think that to say that I'm more one than another wouldn't be necessarily accurate. I like to think of myself as very collaborative, but there are times where you can't be, and you have to, as a leader, you have to take initiative, you have to make decisions, and you're not always liked for that. So I think that it's learning to strike a balance.
Thank you for that, Brenna. As an entrepreneur, you know, I own a business. We have over 80 employees. I have to say I fall under all 5, depending on what I'm doing the day. That's where I fall. Anybody else want to take a shot at this question? And in a minute or less, for the interest of time, because we still have a few more questions to answer.
I think I'm like what Brenna said, I'm all of them. But one of the things that I remember what this person told me, a mentor years ago, she said, if people don't like you, it's because you're doing your job. She goes, and remember, at the end of the day, the only person you have to please is yourself. So that's all I have to say.
You know, thank you for that, Sylvia, because I think also when you're a community and a leader in your community, you're not popularity contest. So, you know, some people are going to like our leadership style, some people are not, but it's about what we're doing to make a difference in the community. Dr. Judy, we have a question that came to you. And Dr. Castro, hold on just a minute. It just kind of moved around a little bit. They asked about the importance of education, and they were saying something about.
Want me to get that one, Veronica? I can get that one.
Because it's not showing up on my screen anymore.
Yeah, I'll get it. Dr. Castro, you talked about higher education, but so many people out there are not the student type. Are vocational training institutes keeping up with current technologies to provide a sustainable living? And I wanted to just add to that, you know, sometimes there's career advancement courses where you don't have to get a certificate, you just get one class here. That's how I started off. I'm like, oh, I got to take Microsoft Word, and then it led me to bigger picture. What would be your answer to that, Dr. Judy?
You know, I think you just pretty much answered it for me, Jenny, is that yes, take a course at a time. The technology is there, they're up to date. And so it is just, you know, taking one at a time. And so that's the response, really. I don't know that I can go into too much more into that, but yeah, that would be my first reaction.
Yeah, and then our chambers, I just want to point this out, especially the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, we have an SBDC hub. So you don't have to go to college if you feel like you're not. My brother's a creative. He's an artist. He's not, you know, he got better grades than me in school, but he didn't, you know, he chose not to go to college. But through your local chambers or through the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce, your local SBDC office offers courses to help you with your business or with your curing and accounting, social media. And these are usually 1 or 2 hour courses once every 6 months. So that's something you can also do. Veronica, as chairwoman, do you want to add anything to that?
One step at a time, one day at a time, I'd have to say, you know, and I do believe I know a lot of successful people that do not have a formal education. I'm not saying don't get an education, but I think if there's an opportunity for you to go to a trade school and you go into business, into that trade, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I remember speaking to a young group of high school kids where there was a young man, he wanted to be a mechanic because he loved working on cars with his dad. And I said, that's great, because nowadays, not many people are going into that profession. I said, you're going to be very successful if you open up your own mechanic shop, because there's not very many mechanics or younger generations that want to go into mechanics. So I think that go for your passion, whatever that calls you. Anybody like to add any more, Brent?
You know, Veronica, I would just say, I think the other really important thing, though, that is an asset to our CHCC members is the new relationship that we have with Pacific Oaks College, which now is offering a discounted tuition rate. You can get your bachelor's degree. You can do that in an in-person curriculum, or you can choose to do that online, but you can get your bachelor's degree, you can get your master's degree, and you can do so at a phenomenal discount. And this is something that Pacific Oaks College and Dr. Castro came to the CHCC with as a benefit to our members. So this is, and this goes out to all of our regional chambers. I mean, this is a huge announcement. And I know Dr. Castro is going to be talking more about it in the coming months, but talk about a phenomenal opportunity and benefit to joining your local Hispanic chamber.
Right. And Brenna, thank you for bringing that up. I was trying to find the timing and I wasn't quite sure, but, you know, there's definitely nothing wrong with trade schools or certificates. Absolutely not. What I find is that we will, as small businesses, we get to a point of saying, you know, we have las ganas to build our businesses, but we get to a point that we hit the ceiling. And to me, the ceiling is that we lack the language, and it's not the language itself, English language, but it's the language of networking, the language of entrepreneurship. Those are the things that I believe break that ceiling. And you can only do that with continuing your education, in that you are going to be involved, you're going to be understanding, you're going to be able to navigate this whole process in developing your businesses, right? So absolutely, starting out with a certificate, yes, it gives you that opportunity. It sets the stage. And as a business owner, there is much more that you want to do for your business. And so how can you get that? Is through the networking and the language acquisition and the navigation that you do get through higher education. And so, yes, we will be making announcements, but now that we have brought it up, is yes, there is an educational partnership that has been brought forth with the California Hispanic Chambers of Commerce and Pacific Oaks to further and to strengthen the capacity of our small businesses to include the members, family members, and affiliates of those who want to continue their education.
Thank you, Dr. Judy. And thank you, Brenda, for bringing that up. I was going to put Dr. Judy on the spot if she can share more about that. So thank you both ladies. We have 3 more questions, and in the end, I wanted to keep our answers a little bit short. The question is, what recommendation you can give to other Latinas to get involved in the community? Gabby, you want to take that question? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's okay. No. I think for me, it's being bold, being courageous, being loud, you know, but always being prepared, always respectful. That's going to put you and set you apart from all your other peers and all the other, you know, just for me, they say showing up, you know, showing up with your best foot forward, whatever that is, and believing in yourself and really go with that passion, and you can never go wrong. I mean, that's just a win-win.
And I'd like to add to that, you start building relationships. You know, I believe that all of us are here through a relationship, right? We built a relationship. I know I built a relationship and I got invited to join this board. So I think that, you know, it kind of works that way, build a relationship.
And you open doors, for others. You want to make sure that everybody's successful, that it's going, you know, that we're all going up at the same time, and we're all getting recognized at the same time, and we're all moving forward. You know, we're moving that needle, and we want to make sure that we're all successful. I think that's important.
We need to pull up each other.
Absolutely, 100%.
You know, real bright beam of light, so others.
And you're great at that.
Thank you. One more question. Let's see. I want to get through these. This is, does a group at CHCC Latinas offer mentoring or some type of peer support group? Who wants to take that question? I know that as far as CHCC, we do have our caps that we offer mentoring to, but I think that's an individual's, Saida, I'm going to answer that a little bit, that if you're really looking for a mentor, you have to see somebody who you're compatible with or you get along with, and ask him, would you want to be my mentor? Because that happened to me 5 years ago. I think it's like 8 years ago. This young lady, still my mentee, she just approached me at an event, said, you know, I really love, you spoke at the panel, I love what you said, I want you to be my mentor. And I went like, okay. So I think that's the way it's going to work. Anybody else want to give Saida that answer, please?
Judy, I mentor a lot of young women, but I think that the thing for me is that you have to, like you said, you have to reach out and connect. I think this, what we're doing here with this podcast is a form of mentoring, right? Because there's so many people that to outreach and touch. So yeah, I agree with you. That's all I wanted to say.
I think for me, so my mentors, I looked to what I wanted to aspire to professionally, and then I identified a mentor and worked with them over the years. I think that your mentors don't have to look like you, they don't have to sound like you, but they need to possess something that you value or want to grow into, and identifying that kind of a person and spending time with them in a meaningful way, I think is important. I also think that if you ask somebody to mentor you and they invest that time, that is an investment, and so don't let them down. I think it's important that you also commit to the same level of relationship.
And here's another question. Can you share what keeps you grounded and strong when personal or professional adversity seem impossible to overcome? Hola, Carla. Thank you for that question. Who wants to answer that? Adversity seem impossible to overcome. I know I've been there. So come on, somebody else take it. Sylvia, as a business owner.
I think it's hard. I think it is hard when you're given a goal and you feel like I'm not going to accomplish it, especially when you don't have that support. So you have to think bigger. You have to say, okay, I know I can do it. Si se puede, like Jenny said. And I think that's the biggest thing is you do have to reach out to people and get people to come and help you that have the same passion as you do. I think that's the biggest part that you can help, that will help you overcome, is don't take it on by yourself. You need people to help you. You need a team. And I think that's the biggest thing, that sometimes we try to do it ourselves and we don't reach out to people. So that's the biggest thing, is ask for help.
I agree. And I think, you said who you surround yourself with, right? People, my parents always used to say, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. Well, I'll tell you who I am. Look at who I'm surrounded by this morning. So I think it's really important. I didn't understand that when I was young. So any of our younger generations that are out there, I didn't understand what my parents meant. But as I got older, I'm like, oh, I got it. I know exactly what you mean by this now. So anybody want to add on that? Because Sylvia, you had a very good point. It's who you surround yourself with, right? And who you bring along with you. Anyone else wanted to add to that?
I don't think that I can add any more, but I do have something I would like to sort of introduce is, for me, si se puede, absolutely. For me is, ¿por qué no? And so it's like, why not?
I like that. ¿Por qué no?
I like that.
¿Por qué no? And so I'll leave you with that.
Thank
And
you.
one thing, Veronica, I remember what I wanted to say earlier about mentoring. You don't have to have just one mentor.
Yeah.
Ask questions. I mean, there's women I go out there and I see once every year, every 6 months, that I need to call Pam because I have some questions and this is where she's really good at. I don't spend every week with Pam or whatnot, but she's someone I refer to. So that's another form of mentoring too. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, thank you. And I wanted to let you know that I have a male mentor and I've had him for now almost 18 years. He happens to be in the same industry as I am. And whenever I'm stuck in something, I call him Mr. G. And I said, Mr. G, what do I do here? What do you do? And, he puts me on check. I don't like it sometimes, but he puts me on check. So it's important to have the mentor, no matter your age, always have a mentor and more than one mentor. I go to him for a lot of things, and it's kind of interesting, like when you hear the male perspective. So ladies, find a male mentor, not a problem with that. And men, why not find a woman mentor? She's going to give you the women's perspective on things. So ladies, we're getting close to wrapping up. And before I do the closing remarks, I like all of you, including you, Jenny, in one sentence or one word, if possible, because we have 3 minutes. I want you to leave everybody with something positive. I'm going to say to always believe in yourself. I'll start with you, Brenna.
Oh, put me on the spot.
Yeah.
I think that investing in yourself and investing in your growth and development is really important. And for all the different reasons that we've discussed today, investing in your community is just as important. And so I think figuring out how to strike that balance is what's important. But you're right when you say we want to carry everyone with us.
Yes.
And that's the kind of leader that I want to be.
Thank you. So ladies, we have 2 minutes, please. One quick sentence. In yourself, invest in yourself and your community. Sylvia, less than one sentence. We have 2 minutes.
I think you need to invest in the community. Like Brenda said, there's students out there that are going to be entrepreneurs. So if you can sponsor them and help them come to your job and train them, that's the leadership you're going to teach them.
Thank you. Gabriela.
For me, it's staying true to yourself, to your values, to your beliefs, and never compromise, for what you believe in.
Yes.
Right.
Dr. Judy.
Do not leave any stone unturned.
I love that. And why not, right? And Jenny?
There are opportunities there.
You are the author of your own story. You hold the pen to the next chapter. It is not the end of your book. It's only the beginning. Today, your next chapter begins.
Ladies, thank you so much. And I want to thank everybody out there. I know there's some more few questions on the board. We will answer them we'll answer them on type because out of interest of time, and I want to be respectful to everybody who joined us. And thank you once again for being here. Latinas who mean business. I mean, these ladies do mean business. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, Brenna, Sylvia, Dr. Judy, Gabriela, and of course, my lovely co-host, Jenny. And most importantly, thank you to our CHCC staff, our president and CEO, and our staff, Michelle, Alex, Laura. Who am I missing? I don't want to miss anybody, but everybody who works behind the scenes that you don't see on here. Thank you all for all your hard work. Luis, I know, and then we have an intern. So there's so many new people behind the scenes, so thank you. And I like to leave you with this. I like to invite you to our annual conference taking place in Indian Wells Esmeralda Resort on September 9th, 10th, and 11th. And you can visit chcc2021.com and you will find all the details, information to buy your ticket and book your hotel room. This is a beautiful resort. And we're taking this, Latina Who Means Business, live on September 11th. So we look forward to seeing you in person. I wish you a successful day. And remember to follow your passion and believe in yourself. Thank you all for joining us and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, ladies.